Peter, I was going to ask you if there's a spectrum in television programming between, on the one side, a content-driven history, for instance, be a classic Ken Burns series or an archaeological history, and at the other end of the spectrum there would be entertainment-driven history programs like Porn Stars, where history provides the context for really satisfying, interesting entertainments. Where is H2 going to be on that spectrum if history itself is kind of, with the exception of some specials, further over to the entertainment side?
H2 will be more, it'll be closer to the more content-driven side, but we're not, it's not all the way over on that side. We do want to be entertaining with H2. You can see on the clip. We're utilizing, the guy you saw there is Brian Unger, who we had on a series called How the States Got Their Shapes. And he's going to be all over the channel. We're bringing back How the States Got Their Shapes this year. So he's going to bring an entertaining approach to the way he hosts the network and is on the network as well. We don't want to go back in time back to what history was 10 years ago for H2. We want information to be the star of the network, but we want to bring it back in a sort of more entertaining way. So, if you have that spectrum of entertainment versus information and content, it's still somewhere in the middle, but to the content side of the spectrum.
I think it's about sort of. It has to be entertaining. I mean, you're in competitive cable. I think it's about what kind of subjects we'll tackle, how much information is. I think when people come to H2, they're really looking for that constant stream of wow, and I can't believe that, I didn't know that. That's really surprising to me, and that's what they get. That's what fuels them. That's what they get excited about. And I think if we deliver that with a archive and stills and dry sort of voice of God, I don't think we'll be successful. I think we have to really make sure that we're delivering what they want, which is those really that context and that insight, but we're delivering it in a way that keeps them engaged and entertained as well.
So what are the risks? I mean, everybody sees the switch of History Channel, for instance, from classic history to very entertainment-driven history. It just seems so effortless looking back. But there are lots of failures along the way in many projects. There are lots of channels who try to reposition themselves and fail. Like Travel, for instance, went to character-driven programs a couple of years ago, and we're hearing now that they want destination-based programs. So what do you think the risks are, and what are some of the failures that you look at that might be instructive for you?
It's been a long road for us to get to where we are in history. We've had plenty of failure along the way. We did get lucky to a certain extent in that our first foray into real character-driven programming, which was Ice Road Truckers in 2007, did hit, and that really fueled us going forward at that point. And we knew that we could succeed with character-based programming. It was, we weren't sure what was going to happen when we went down that road. But once Ice Road Truckers hit, we continued down the road of more character-driven programming, and it still took us time. Pawn Stars didn't launch until 2009, which was our, and we had Axemen after Ice Road Truckers had launched, but we had many failures along the way. Sandhogs was one that we had talked about before, was a failure for us, which was a character-driven program. Jurassic Fight Club was another one that failed for us. But we see those failures as an opportunity for us to learn and to see what it is that works and what doesn't work, and we are able to sort of get a better feel for what the audience wants, and so it's been a long road, and we're still going to fail. If you look at last year, we've had some successes, but we've also failed in the past year as well.
We've had a great run in the past couple of years, but it's always an evolution. And you have to, we have to stay really aggressive in our development, in our programming. We have to constantly try to find new categories, new genres, explore, everything. We're exploring comedy as a category. How, what happens when comedy intersects with history. We have to really push the boundaries and limits to keep our position as a leader in cable. And every time we have something that either works or doesn't work, we learn something about what our viewers are looking for. And so we're set up in a way where our programmers know and that they can have failures. They can take big creative risks. They can push and try new things, and if they fail, that's okay. That's part of the business. As long as they didn't leave anything on the table and didn't, they feel like they made the best show they could make with our production partners. We recognize that's part of the business, and we're okay with that.
So Dirk, how many are on the programming team, the development team, and are they open for conversations?
Absolutely. What's unique? I think we have 15 programmers, approximately. Is that right, Lynn?
Is this H2 or history?
History. And for H2, we have, it's really a team of about 3, but all of our programmers can oversee programming across both channels. And all of our programmers develop. So we don't have a separate development team that then feeds projects into a programming team. It's everybody develops and oversees their projects. And producers are encouraged to have multiple contacts. We don't have a system where a single programmer has exclusive relationships with a given producer. We don't think that that's healthy and creative. We want producers to be able to access. Several programmers have different relationships. I think that Mike's really going to get this one. Or Matt, I think might have a better take on that. Or we really encourage people to pitch multiple people. Have lots of. We try to have. Again, it's hard to have access. That I know everybody wishes was there. That you could just pitch at any moment, and we have so many suppliers, and we are always on the lookout for new producers. But the volume of the pitches that we take is pretty staggering, and it's I know that it can be challenging to get those inroads, but we try to be as open as we possibly can.
For those of you that want to learn about the pitching and development process at A&E Networks, or specifically at A&E, I have a multi-part profile in my newsletter, and it's actually fascinating how the process works from the pitch first coming in through to getting final green light, much less a renewal. So you can find that on my newsletter, documentarytelevision.com. So what about like classic history? We referenced on my slide here the Newtopia series, America, the Story of Us. Was that a oncer, or are you still keeping the faith with classic, signature, high-budget, international co-pro history?
I think we have another slide that shows some of the history program that we have coming up, and that we've done over the last few years. So, we did America, the Story of Us. Newtopia is doing Mankind for us, that will premiere at the end of 2012.
How many episodes is that?
That's 12 hours.
And is that a co-production or a...
No, it's a commission.
Full commission.
Full commission.
Fully owned.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, your model is to own all your programs, lock, stock, and barrel, no co-pro.
Whenever we can. That's our model.
First position.
Yeah.
Right. And so, continuing with the list.
At the top of the list, we also have the Bible. Mark Burnett is producing for us. That will premiere probably in 2013. We've also done, 102 Minutes That Changed America, which premiered a few years ago. We also did, Tony and Ridley Scott did Gettysburg for us last year. World War II in HD, Vietnam in HD, very successful documentaries for us over the last couple of years. We have got The Men Who Built America, which is an 8-part documentary coming in 2013 or 2014, and then How the States Got Their Shapes, which is another series for us, which is more.
So you do one of these a quarter every 6 months or so? How would you?
Yeah, it depends. We'd like to have a couple of these a year. These typically get marketing, and so we like to. We've really transitioned from a network that did 52 specials a year, and you might argue, if you're doing 52, how can they all be special? To a network that does a couple of really big events, and they are great. They've been successful from a ratings perspective. They are great as a brand reinforcing tool. So we want to continue to make these. We think they work within our current strategy.
And the success of the network has allowed us to do more of these, to do these big events, and to make them even more successful, because we have a platform by which we can bring audiences to these shows that we didn't have before.
So this is great. The story of the success of history is a fantastic story, and it's great to see new producers like Left Field from porn stars come from nowhere to be, some of the biggest players in television right now. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us, and we'll have Q&A in a few minutes.